I'll call this meeting of the County Council to order, October 11th, 2022. Councilman Reese, would you mind leading us in prayer?
Oh, gracious Father, we thank you for allowing us to assemble in your name and build the kingdom and helping the county to succeed in all different ways and forms and means, especially for our first responders, all the employees who work for the county, and all our leadership. We ask you to put your guidance on them, that they make decisions that's betterment for our county. Oh God, we thank you for everything. We thank you for as we sit here and able to bless our people and thank them for all you do for us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Now, if you'll join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Todd, would you do the roll call, please?
Councilman Ballin?
Present.
Councilman Emery?
Here.
Councilman Steele?
Here.
Councilman Alexander?
Here.
Councilwoman Watkins?
Here.
Councilman Reese? Here. President Gale?
Here. Okay, would there be a motion to approve the minutes of the September 13, 2022 meeting?
Approve. So moved.
Motion by Councilman Vaughn,
Second.
second by Councilman Emery. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes. The approval of the agenda tonight, we do have the budget adoption near the top, and just to make note, the last four items listed under salary ordinances are actually ordinances that pertain to the budget adoption. So we would move those four items up to the budget adoption. Would there be anyone that would?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Councilman Vaughn.
Second.
Second by Councilman Steele. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that is approved. For Council President's comments tonight, just a few things. First, I want to remind department heads, office holders, we're coming up on the end of our year. We will have our November council meeting. It's not typical that the county council meets in December, simply because by the time we get to that point in the calendar year, adjustments to budget, transfers, new money requests, the process it takes to get those things to happen doesn't allow for that money to actually be spent by the end of the calendar year. So we typically only do December meetings when there's a special need or special request to do that. So keeping that in mind, I'd suggest that you all pay attention to your budgets and make sure that at the November meeting, if there's anything that needs to happen to get you through the end of the year, you submit that prior to the November meeting. Just don't want anyone to get caught off guard there. Tonight is an important meeting. Last month we had the budget hearing for the 2023 budget. Tonight, hopefully, we will adopt a budget for 2023. I just want to go over the process a little bit and hit on a couple of key points. First, this has been a very difficult year. I mentioned this last month. At this point last year, we never would have expected the inflation that our country and our community here locally has been hit with. We never would have expected such a drastic increase in fuel, utilities. We never would have forecasted such a drastic increase in health insurance costs. We're getting hit in a lot of different areas with some substantial hits. So it's been difficult. I do want to say that every member of the council, from what I've been told, has put time and input into the budget. It's been a collaborative effort, and a lot of work's gone into it. The auditor's office, Rick and Todd, have spent countless hours helping us find documentation, helping us understand numbers, and looking at historical data, and then organizing and getting all of this data collected and put together in these ordinances that we'll entertain tonight. So thank you both, and thank you, Rick, your staff, for all the work that's been done to help us with that. The budget that we will consider tonight, through all of the input from various members of the council. Also, I want to make sure it's known that many department heads, when we asked at our last meeting that if you had any ideas of ways to shave money in your own budgets. We did have several department heads that did come forth with some cost savings ideas, and I'm thankful for that. That did help significantly. The budget we'll entertain tonight currently sits with a $500,000 surplus. I have had people caution me before about broadcasting that there's a surplus, because some people will think that means there's available money next year. The goal behind having a surplus is simply that we don't know what next year is going to bring. A lot of analysts are suggesting that the economy is going to get worse before it gets better. I know in private sector, a lot of businesses are planning right now for a hard year next year, potentially. I hope we're all wrong on that, but we have to be prepared in case we're not. We also know that there may be significant expenses due to a capital murder case in our county. We have to be prepared for that. So what we're presenting tonight, if it's passed, will prepare us to have a cushion to soften the blow of potential hits we might take next year. We've been able to do this without having to lay off employees or take more extreme steps. And it took a lot of work to get there. So thank you to all the members of the council for your efforts on this. We will discuss the budget adoption, budget more here in a couple of minutes. But one last thing, I would like to invite up to the podium Mr. Gavin Hewlett. Councilman Reese introduced me to Gavin just a few minutes ago. And Councilman Reese, would you like to say anything?
Yes, I would. I was very impressed. I received a text from this young man. He's from Madison High School, I believe. And I was just impressed at what he wrote to me and written. And I had the opportunity to speak to him a couple occasions, and he seemed like he knows what he wants, and he wants to be a part of our team, and he wants to go through the necessary process that will allow him. But I'll let him explain that right now.
Hi, my name's Gavin. I'm 18 years old. I'm a senior at Anderson High School. I'm in my second year in the criminal justice course at D26. In my criminal justice course, we look at forensic science and stuff, and I had a chance for one of my substitute teachers to be Deputy Coroner Chris Burris, and he talked about what the coroner's office does to help aid the criminal justice system, and it kind of piqued my interest, and I'm looking to have an internship at the coroner's office because right now my projected career path is in a forensic entomology or a forensic investigator.
Very interesting. Very cool. Well, thank you for introducing yourself to the council. Obviously, the council wouldn't make that decision, but I think it speaks highly of you that you would come and share that, and you speak so well publicly, so that's great. Councilman Reese.
I just want to add that there is I remember when I was in high school, they had a program that allowed you to co-op. Mm-hmm. And the program works with the high school. I think they have an instructor that's someone that they connect with the employer and allow the youth to work so many hours. But I want to say to Gavin, this doesn't really stop here. We just want you to present to the council so they be made aware, and then we'll take the next proper steps, probably have you come before the commissioners and see if we can put something together. But I appreciate you being here, and thank you for that excellent text.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you, and good luck as you finish your senior year.
Good luck.
Next, we have the auditor's report.
Good evening, Council. I'd like to share a few numbers with you, where we sit now and where we're headed. We are sitting today with a general fund balance of $7,265,000 and change. We anticipate the general fund to be at 9.226 at the end of the year. You have appropriated this year $969,000 during the year. We had about $1.2 million that could have, $1.1 million, $1.2 million could have been appropriated. So you're sitting at 9.226 for year end. We like that at 9 million or above. So you're sitting in the vicinity anyway. You have additional appropriation requests tonight for $163,000. So that would be one consideration you have today. Rainy day fund is sitting at $5,460,890. Treasurer Gert has placed that in an interest-bearing account, and it is pulling about $100 a day in interest. He's aware of what the intent to do with that rainy day fund as far as funding possibly the capital case that the county's facing, and he is knowing that what you're wanting to do with that or what you possibly might want to do with that. He's looking to find a higher interest rate area to put that, and might be as high as 3%. It would generate at 3% about $74,000 for the year. I know that the number has been all over the place, 400,000 over the period of time. I'm not a prosecutor, not a judge. I don't know those costs really, so I won't speak any more to that other than what the experts have,
Rick, would you say it one more time, please?
shared with us.
The rainy day, please.
The rainy day fund is at $5,460,890.
Okay, thank you.
So Treasurer Gert understands that what the council is trying to do, that what we'd like to do in January, if the council goes ahead with this plan, there's not really a fund you can do that case out of, but we'd like to keep it separate. So if we done it within the rainy day fund and tried to work off the interest in that fund, our plan would be to set up, and there may be more departments in this, it has to be included, but the courts would be a department within the rainy day fund. The prosecutor would be within the rainy day fund, and the public defenders would be within the rainy day fund. And the only thing that would be spent from those departments within the rainy day fund, hoping to stay within the interest over at least the span, would be restricted to only the capital case that the county faces and that high dollar bill that we're going to be seeing. So that's where we'd like to work that from. I'd rather stay completely away, but there's not really a special fund for that case. And if it gets out in all the departments' budgets, it kind of gets mingled in. So we'd like to keep it separate, and that seems to be the place we could do it with a specific reason and stick only to that. And I hope the council would consider that. Now, we do have, they are starting to get expenses from that already, and probably in November, we need to set up those funds in your November meeting, because the decision to go forward with that seems to have been after we advertised months ago for the budget, so it wasn't a time that we could budget the rainy day fund. So we would have to do that in November for whatever amount we would want to appropriate for this year, and then in January, as those costs start coming in, we would need to set that up for next year. We would have to do that in January. All those decisions came after the budget was advertised, so therefore rainy day was not advertised. So public safety fund is sitting at $2,362,975. The lit correction fund, which would be for building the new jail, is sitting at $4,376,000. Almost $77,000. Interest income in the general fund alone this year through Dan Gert's investments as your treasurer has generated $361,671, not including this month. That would be general fund only. Like I said, the rainy day and other funds are generating interest also. So that's general fund alone. You're looking at a $40,998,760 general fund budget for 2023. That would leave you, so let's just round it, $41 million. That would leave you about $500,000 for additional appropriations through next year, or transfer into the rainy day if that's unspent. So that would put you at, you're available for next year at 41,500,000 total. That would be your max. These numbers are all based on 80% collections. Sometimes those come in a little bit better. We did have one year that we were down in the 79, Todd, is that right? 79% collection rate. That includes tax caps, the whole business. We hope that it'll come in stronger than that. It possibly could still come in a little bit stronger for this year than 80% collections, but keeping in mind the 10% inflation rate. So that'll be a plus for us if it comes in over the norm. Normally it is at 80% or a hair better, but we did have one year it dipped to 79% collections. So I think I've covered what I need to, unless anybody's got any questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we get into the budget adoption for 2023. This is the opportunity for the council to have any discussion. One thing I would like to encourage, since the process, a lot of input was provided by individual members of the council to the auditor's office. The final budget being proposed is a result of that. So as we have discussion, I think it would be beneficial if there were things that individuals suggested. Feel free to share those things, make the public aware of ideas and things and part of the process of this, if you would. So with that, so that we can move towards discussion, would there be a motion to approve the ordinance 2022-10D, Madison County 2023 budget?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Councilman Alexander.
Second.
A second by Councilman Emery. And now's the time for any discussion.
Councilman Gill? I know talking, and I want to really praise Mr. Colt, because I know you probably got tired of me calling him. And kind of met with Councilman Emery on one meeting, and I literally spent 2 days, like 15 hours a day on the 2 days, really looking at every single line item and so thanks, Mr. Colt. You've been really, we went back and forth, and it's tough. The only issue I have, and I hope we can discuss this tonight among the council, is I've gotten calls, I think some emails was forwarded to the council. It is no raises for the employees. There was an email that came through, I believe, from Jenny Chambers and a couple employees that, with the HARPA money. As I work for the city of Anderson, we are receiving HARPA money raises, not raises, sorry, like bonuses can be worked through the period. Inflation's at 8%. Prices are going up. We don't know when it's going to stop. A lot of these employees that are $32,000 a year, I feel almost guilty that we don't give them something. And I understand the commissioners control it. They would have to, initiate it, and then we'd have to vote on it. But I really think we need to do something. I'm having a hard time voting for this budget tonight because the calls I received and maybe we could dialogue a little bit, something, because I know we can't end the budget as it sits now. And I know we can use the HARPA money. Learned a little bit of that when I went to conference, talked to other county council from other counties that they have. If you would, if anyone else, I know what we make at the city, and I see what some of these people making $32,000 a year, and some of them are single moms and single families. I know we're up here maybe okay, and then plus that, and in thinking of that, and kind of calling other counties, get input and help and their opinions. We went through a tough year of losing employees too. So I don't know if we can, do something. And I know it's tough to do it out of the general fund budget. And you have a general fund, and I hate to even say this because I know Rick's going to look at me because I know he did a really good job on and we appropriated money this year, 100,000 a month to the rainy day fund, but I almost feel guilty that it's kind of on the backs of the employees. We don't give them anything. And I'm just, because I think we really worked hard on the budget, and it's tough, like you said in your opening comments. So if we can do, you know.
I definitely agree with the idea that, there's still work to be done in the compensation for our employees. In the 2022 budget, we tried to address that. We tried to address that throughout the year. There are still areas that need addressed. That was one of my greatest frustrations as we were getting hit by all of these, massively increased expenses, is things I thought we were going to be able to do with the 23 budget to continue that process. The money just wasn't there for that. And so I definitely share that sentiment that there's still work to be done on that. I don't know where it comes from, but,
Well, again, I know from the city, we have different tier that we did, and it's public, so, we get, at water pollution, we get 6,000. And, I mean, and I'm not saying that, but we do have HARPA money, and I don't know if there's been discussion with the commissioners, but it's,
We backtrack. Let's backtrack. Several months ago, prior to this session here, I had heard from a fellow conference person who I attended conference with a couple years ago, and she made me aware that this was several months ago, even before the city did this, that their county, and actually the city, was giving all the employees $5,000. I don't know if anybody remember that conversation I had with this council. And I thought that, then she called me back 2 weeks later and said, hey, the county is also receiving, the employees are receiving $5,000. Well, probably about the last meeting we had prior to this meeting, I met with you. I met with John Richwine. I met with Mr. Rob Steele as well. And prior to that meeting, I met with Mr. Anthony Emery and also Mr. Mikhail Vaughn. And in that meeting, I asked them, I begged them to please suggest to the commissioners that we do something for the employees of at least $5,000. Really, you need about $10,000 because over the years we haven't done properly what we should have done for the employees. Your health costs have risen. We haven't gave sufficient raises. 0, 1, 2% is almost a laughter. We have done some things as administrators that was not beneficial to the employees. We allow certain type of pocket raises. We allow litigation to happen, and all these rise and costs fell on the employees. So this has been discussed way before this, so don't think this just happened now. I brought this up a long time ago. Then the mayor across the street, Mayor Broderick, thank God for him. He had enough sense, common sense, that if the president allowed this money to come down, President Biden allowed this money to come down, first time I ever seen where you can take part of this money and able to help the employees. First time ever seen that. City of Madison is doing great. Every year that the mayor been over there, they got raises. Every year the mayor been over there, they have not raised the health care. Haven't done it. They've done great over there. We have had some problems over here. So it's no game. The money's there. What I tell you employees to do is to get a hold of your department heads and tell them to get a hold of the commissioner and let's do the right thing. But they want to give $1,000. You got millions, people, 20-something $million. We sat down in the office. I sat in Rick's office. I sat here with Mr. Colt, and we kind of played with those numbers a little bit. And I'm saying it ought to be upwards of $10,000. Yeah, they said, well, they're afraid that the public's going to get upset. Well, the public's going to get upset regardless because we're not doing everything we need to be doing properly anyway. So I want to make it perfectly clear. This was brought up way before the mayor ever did what he did. So it's everybody, let's take a breath. We can do for the employees. And I'm not just talking just the employees. I want everybody across the board, everybody who came here and worked. And if they went home, they didn't raise their hand and say, who want to go home? It wasn't that way. they mandated for people to go home because they didn't want the spread of this pandemic. So we can't sit back and point fingers at, well, this one went home and this one that. Everybody across the board, department heads, heck, I want mine too. Because I was here meeting and there were times people didn't wear masks. People on this panel got sick. There were talked to dispatch. There were people over there that got sick over dispatch. The jail people got this. Probably every department, someone got sick. So we have this excellent opportunity. I think it would be I think it would be probably hatred if they don't do something for the employees. I believe it would be probably one of the most worst thing that could happen in the history of this county, that we have an opportunity to bless our employees and we don't do so. So that's why I want to get this. I don't want to get this hand, well, we did this. No, we didn't. We didn't do anything. So what I'm getting, this conversation started way back before now. And these conversations been made with these. I think the only one I haven't talked to was in fairness, Diana Likens and Mr. Jerry Alexander. The only two I haven't talked to, but the rest know what's on the table. So if you don't get it, it's on them. That's it, Mr. President.
Councilman
Gale,
Reese, there's a minute. I haven't had a chance to read all the emails. I do know that the ARPA process that had been delayed a bit is starting up now. So it's hard for anything to get approved through ARPA if there's not an active process. So I know that's beginning soon. So one thing I wanted to address was I received a lot of questions about the raising health care cost. How does it go up that much? I think it's important to understand that the county health insurance is partially self-funded, meaning that if an employee gets sick and goes to the hospital, the county, out of funds that we appropriate, has to pay up until a certain point. And it was explained to me, we simply have a lot of employees, significantly more than historically we've had at any one time, that have serious health issues that have to be treated. Obviously, we want to curtail the cost of health insurance, but we also want these people to get better. We want them to get treatment. And my hope is that maybe in 23, some of these people will get to a point where they don't need those treatments. Maybe they'll be better, and maybe people won't get sick with new illnesses. That would help the projected expense go down some. So that's just important to understand that hopefully this is a fluke because of the number of people with serious illness right now. If it continues on to be the case, then we're going to have to find a way to fund that for years to come. I have had many conversations with Commissioner Richwine. They are working on finding other efficiencies. They have found some things which allowed us to reduce a little bit of the appropriation amount from what they originally requested. And they're continuing to work on ways to find cost savings there. So hopefully they'll continue to be successful in some of those things without jeopardizing the quality of care for our employees. So that'll be an ongoing thing. We'll have to monitor that expense throughout 23. But like I say, hopefully people just get healthy and stay healthy. And I mean, we care for those employees, so we hope that, and then that also benefits the budget as well. So wanted to make you all aware of some of those conversations that have happened.
Councilman Gale, another thing that I will say, me and Councilman Reese, when the budget started the process and we heard about the $2 million, jump we had to do, that we're going to have to fund, because we sat down with Deputy Mayor Ikes, and we have an insurance commission at the city, and it's right now we're sitting at $16 million in the reserves, and they really understanding we're both self-insured. I mean, we learned a lot. Councilman Reese, probably in the 2.5 hours, more than I can probably my head could really. I mean, he really explained it to us how the claims are. Sometimes you have cancer patient, a treatment, a radiation, and there's a lot of work in dealing with insurance. I hope they do get cured of cancer, but I'm afraid, it's better to prepare, next year, or we're going to be sitting the same thing, and that's what because, obviously, we hope people with cancer gets well, but that's a long process sometimes, and it comes back, and you got to treat it. So, I don't know what we can do to maybe come together with the commissioners, but that's going to be, we can't sit here and say, well, $2 million this year, and, with the inflation, does that affect that? With the claims, does it affect that? Certain claims, does it affect the going up? Do you think maybe it's a smart idea that maybe we plan for that a little bit, a separate fund that maybe where we're not in trouble like we are this year?
We do have a health insurance reserve fund. So if we would go over in expenses, we could take money out of that. Like any kind of reserve fund, though, you want to be careful that you don't
Right.
count on that to balance. That's there in case we have an unexpected amount of expense. So we do have a reserve fund, and obviously we'd like that to grow to, if possible, to prepare for.
Do we know what's in that right now, Rick? That
1.7, was it?
Yeah.
I know Todd told me before, but I forgot.
Something else that we have to be aware of and careful of is that insurance reserve fund must maintain a minimum for negotiating power when it comes to our benefits.
Right.
And that 1.5 million is about where that cutoff is for
Can't
that.
fool with it, right?
Right. So if we start dipping below that, then all of a sudden we drove up our rates for our employees.
Right.
I think where he's at is, and when we talk to the city, we have to learn or figure a way to grow that. Of course, we can't fool with it now, but we have to figure a way to grow that. So then when we do get hits like $2 million, we got $4 million, we can kind of pull out of that to kind of help offset the cost to the entire, bunch. So that's what he's talking about. I don't think we can do anything now.
Yeah,
because
we
it's
don't
just-
have, we're kind of down,
have anything.
it's kind of hurt down where we got to take it out of the budget.
It has $1,474,000.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. Do they ever pull out of that reserve, or that reserve stay untouched? Or does it ever?
1.9 million last year, 500,000 of it was used this past year.
So that's what we have to work on.
Yeah.
We have to work on that.
So we need to be
Yeah.
mindful of that.
Yeah.
And Councilman Gill, another big thing I talked to Todd before the meeting, and Todd, correct me if I'm wrong on this, last year, the new appropriations, what was that again? You told me, new appropriation from for 2022 this year.
Isn't that what Rick said in his, yeah.
Right, and so we can what concerns me is, do you think it's low enough that, and I hate to even mention this, but, we only can spend 500,000 for appropriations next year, we're going to have to say no. I mean, do you think that we're going to be okay, Councilman Gale?
Well, I think we have to. If we pass this budget, we're going to have to stand firm. And, we knew that we had a certain allotment that could be passed this year in '22. And, in order to get down to where we would have that same amount for the '23 budget, a lot more severe cuts would have needed to be made. So I think, out of respect for the office holders and department heads and the services that they provide, we refrain from cutting that deeply because that would have caused a lot of pain. But we also need those office holders and department heads to work with us in '23 and just know that the budget that we're giving you now, that needs to get you through '23 if at all possible. We just really don't have the cushion that we've had in the past. Because like I say, this 500,000, I mean, that could get eaten up in continued inflation cost. So that may not be any additional things, additional projects, or new positions. That could just be maintaining what we currently do.
Are we figured in the budget that settlement that we got told with the county, is this in the budget at all? That the settlement that we may have to, that could be around $1 million and something, have we figured on that, on anything with this? Go ahead.
Are you talking about the Supreme Court settlement?
To the county that we discussed, me, you and
Yeah, I
Todd
believe
and
he is
Fred
talking
and-
about
Yeah, no, there's nothing in there. We don't know what that number is yet, but no, that's not figured in. I would like to share something. It's a little humorous, but it's not really funny, but it's the truth. And the truth is, this council, the city council, every budget that exists on this planet is wrong 100% of the time.
Right.
It's just how wrong are you?
Right.
And what you have to deal with next year is that $500,000. That's what you have to deal with, and if you go over that, you're blowing your budget. If you stay within that $500,000 for the next 12 months, once it goes into effect on January 1st, if you stay within that $500,000, you're meeting your budget. Right now, you have a $500,000 surplus. You can spend that next year. Doesn't mean you have to spend that next year. Even if you have it and you get into January, doesn't mean departments need to come flooding in and take that. That could go over into the rainy day and be for another day, for another big project, a new bridge that has to be built. The lawsuit that Councilman Vaughn is speaking of. So just keep that in mind. You're never going to hit it. No one, Mayor Broderick, nobody else is hitting the budget 100. It's just not happening. Some cities and counties get a lot more cash than we get, but you're going to miss it every time. It's just how much do you miss it, and you got $500,000 before you miss it.
Right.
What
There
did
was
we
a
have?
previous year, I'm sorry, Fred. There was a previous year where I believe we had about 300,000, and Fred recalls this, and I think the common motto with office holders when they come in, if it didn't concern paying an employee or keeping the lights and water turned on, we had to say no.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's that drastic, but it could get there to that point. So we're just going to have to be mindful of that moving forward.
Well, we done some things also. We did some freezing and on hiring and all that kind of stuff to help try to control a lot of that. But I say this, I want to bring this up real quick, and I know this may be a little sidetracked, but I've been really bothered by this for the past week or two. I received email or texts from several employees from the county on a particular employee, and I think it's MCCC. She's been part-time for 14 years. She continues to work. But she's not full-time. And I'm kind of lost on why we continue to practice that in our county employees. I mean, when do we figure out that, they're a good enough employee to be full-time? And this is an African-American woman. Seems like I'm always coming back fighting for them, but it's out there. But we need to figure some way to get this woman full-time. We talked about, we got $500,000 here, we got money in the rainy day funds, and when we can't get one person who's been working 14 years and we can't get them full-time, I don't know, I guess that's a common practice that goes on around here in the county, where we let people work 14 years before we hire them full-time, but if it is, we need to change that. I'd like to find out, it's in the guy who runs the MCCC, what's his name?
Mr. Kane.
Mr. Kane is one of his employees. So we need to do what we can. I really, really wish we would do what we can to make that happen. I don't know if it goes around, I don't know where it is across the county, but this is crazy. 14 years part-time, and we can't make them full-time.
Councilman Gill, I think part of that is that position, that part-time, I'm going to call her young lady because I don't know how much she is, how old she is. But I think Mr. Kane brought up to me in meeting with them that if he would lose that main and full-time employee, that she does a lot of counting over there, has been there for quite a while, which I think that lady could be close to retiring or something happen, it'd be hard to replace that. It's a very volatile position. And I think that's part of what Councilman Reese is trying to say too. I know he brought that up to me. If she retire, she could be getting into her time, and it's a very part of their system over there of accounting, and she does a lot of other book stuff. So I think that's part of what I think.
We might be talking to somebody different, because this young lady is nowhere close to retiring.
No, not her, the full-time position.
Or the full-time position.
The
And
full-time
the
position.
lady I'm talking about, she started with Ann Roberts.
Well, to make sure we're clear, though, the county council doesn't determine for an office holder or department head whether a person is hired as a full-time or part-time. It would be up to them to hire that person fill that position, and then to come to us if they want an additional position, a full-time position, then we just simply have to see if there's money for that or not.
Like I said, it was brought to my attention that the council always turn them down. So I guess if they pointed back the finger to us, and that's the reason why I'm bringing that we may need to look at doing something different, because it always fall back that, or they go to their employees and say, well, the council didn't approve it. So that's the reason why I brought it to the attention. That's what was told to me.
I don't remember that coming before, so I don't know when that would have been, but
I think he probably does it in his whole package, and when we go and turn down the package, then they just tag on that we turned down that employee to be hired, which we don't do those things, as you say. But as part of that, if they're part of that budget and we do turn it down, then I guess in essence we do turn it down. So I just want to make it, I'm on TV. I want to make it sure, let them know I'm here fighting for that employee. And we done gave a lot of raises in the past. So I don't see why we can't help this person become hired full-time.
Okay. Is there any other discussion on the proposed 2023 budget? Hearing none, I would say all in
Roll call vote?
favor say, okay, Councilman Vaughn has requested a roll call vote. Todd?
Councilman Vaughn,
No.
Councilman Emery,
Yes.
Councilman Steele,
Yes.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilwoman Likens,
Yes.
Councilman Reese,
I want to give a reason why no. I want to give no because we're not giving raises to the employees. Second, I want to give no because we have
Councilman
individuals.
Reese, we've been over this before under
I got a
Robert's
right to
rules.
stay. I got a right to stay.
No,
now.
under Robert's rules, when it's time to vote, you vote. We had time for discussion.
I'm
and
saying
you
we
made
have
that
people
clear.
make comments reason why they give the answer. We have that right to say.
We've tried to curtail that because that's not in line
I'm the
with
only one
Robert's
doing
Rule
it.
of Order.
I'm the only
so
one doing it.
Anyway, Todd, would you conclude the roll call? I think.
President Gale,
Yes. That passes. So the next part that we would go to is ordinance 2022-10E, the Independence Fire 2023 budget. This is a very small budget that we pass each year. Would there be a motion?
What is this exactly on, Councilman Gale?
This is the.
What part of,
This was in your email packet. It's a
Yeah.
ordinance that, 2022-10E for the Independence
know
Fire
that.
budget. It's a adopted budget of
Only
$31,742.
one we oversee. They're not in a fire territory or under a town
Right.
or anything.
This is what they asked for.
Particular budget, basically, their entire budget is a check they write to the city of Anderson for fire service.
Right.
It's one street.
Yeah,
Bill Beeler is the guy that turns that budget in, and it's basically whatever their fire service is to the city of Anderson, it's one payment and the budget's over.
right,
so
right.
this is like the city of Anderson,
It's
Independence Fire,
oh, okay.
yeah.
I never knew that.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Councilman Alexander.
Second.
Second by Councilman Vaughn. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? That passes. Next, ordinance 2022-10F, which is the East Central Solid Waste 2023 budget. This was also in your packets. This is the $751,496 budget.
And this is, why am I not?
It was in the
It was in the email packet that you were
Yeah, I
sent.
know, they have it in here, I'm just don't know why I'm not.
I'll make that motion too.
A motion to pass by Councilman Alexander,
Second.
second by Councilman Emery. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? That passes as well. And finally, for the 2023 budget, it's the salary ordinance that simply goes along with the budget that we just passed. That's salary ordinance 2022-10G. Is there a motion to approve?
Roll call?
So moved.
Okay, Councilman Alexander made a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Councilman Emery. Any discussion?
Roll call?
Okay, Councilman Vaughn has asked for a roll call vote. Todd?
Councilman Vaughn,
No.
Councilman Emery,
Yes.
Councilman Steele,
Yes.
Councilman Alexander,
Yes.
Councilwoman Likens,
Yes.
Councilman Reese,
No.
President Gale.
Yes. Okay, thank you all very much. Next on the budget, we have our recorder, Linda Smith. And before she presents this, just to let everyone know, this is an ordinance that's not necessarily affiliated with budget, so this would be something that we would either need to pass unanimously, or we would have to come back for a second reading next month. But this is a fairly standard thing that we do every year, so.
Yes. So at your budget workshop, I brought to you the recorder's sworn statement, and it basically says that the current revenue of the Recorder's Perpetuation Fund is sufficient to fulfill the statutory purpose of the fund, Then the technology of the County Recorder's Office is presently up to date and sufficiently meets the statutory purposes of the fund and the County Recorder's Office. And then the fund has a sufficient reserve consistent with the recorder's plan to capitalize the next technology or other records management upgrade necessary to fulfill the statutory purpose of the fund and the office. And then finally, the recorder specifically requests that all or a specific identifiable portion of the fund be used to pay the expenses of the recorder's office for the following calendar year. And I already brought that to you.
Thank you.
And then also at that time, at the budget hearing, I gave you my budget letter, which you all had a copy of. And then the last piece to this, to make it all happen, is the ordinance. And so that's why we're here today. And if you want me to go ahead and read that.
Sure.
Okay, whereas the Madison County Council received a sworn statement from the Madison County Recorder pursuant to Indiana Code 362710.2 subsection B, in order that the recorder may pay office expenses of the Recorder's Office from the Recorder's Perpetuation Fund for the budget year 2023, and whereas the Madison County Council wishes to approve the Recorder's annual request made pursuant to the sworn statement so that funds from the Recorder's Perpetuation Fund may be used for certain office expenses as requested by the Recorder. Now therefore be it ordained by the Madison County Council pursuant to Indiana Code 362710 subsection C, that the Madison County Recorder's sworn statement for all or a specific identifiable portion of the funds from the Recorder's Perpetuation Fund number 1189 be approved to pay the expenses of the County Recorder's Office for the 2023 budget calendar year.
And Todd, I would need an ordinance number for this.
Would be 2022-10H.
10. Thank you. Okay. Is there a motion to approve ordinance
So moved.
2022-10H? We have a motion by Councilman Vaughn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Likens. Any discussion or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That sounded unanimous to me, so we would say that passed on first reading.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Gale?
Yes.
I'd like to say, Linda Smith, they're right there. I was at AIC, and I just want to say congratulations to our recorder.
Yeah.
She's Recorder of the Year.
Yes,
So Linda,
congratulations.
congratulations, ma'am. I looked up at the screen, and I was ready to take a bite, and there's Linda Smith. I thought, wow.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Linda.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have some transfers. Is there anyone that would like to make a motion?
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve transfers in mass as presented.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Emery and a second by Councilman Steele. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
No.
We had a majority vote yes, so those pass
Me.
on the two ends. There are some new money requests tonight. We have a request from the Highway Fund, which is simply us appropriating money from a highway fund to allow them to pay some roads. The prosecutor has a couple of special funds that we would appropriate, and then the courts have a fund. Those are all specific funds intended for those uses. Then we also have 4 general fund requests, planning, courthouse, courts, and sheriff. So would there be any public comment on these new money requests? Okay, then we'll move on to the Highway Fund, 1176, and there was a schedule conflict. So the person that was going to present this was not able to make it, Scott Harless, tonight. But that's simply appropriating money from the Highway Fund to highway maintenance and repair so that they can use that money for paving, which is its intended purpose. Would there be a motion on that?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Emery, a second by Councilman Steele. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, next are 2 funds from the prosecutor's office.
Evening. I am Betsy Baxter, the Director of Victim Services in the prosecutor's office, and each of the account funds listed here are grant funds that were previously awarded and effective 10/1/22. Do you want me to read through each line item?
Sure.
Okay, so in 11,002, that is a 10% of my salary. 11,145 is the bilingual victim assistant. That is 9% of her salary. 14903, 14904, 14905, 14906 are all 100% of those advocates' salaries. 16161 is our FICA for the year. In the designated percentages, as previously mentioned, the $150 and $3,100 is the small amount of funds that I had remaining in the budget to apply towards our free trauma therapy for victims, and the $3,700 covers our copying fees for the year. Moving on to 8199, the 11,002 is 9% of my salary. The 11,145 is the remaining 91% of the bilingual victim assistance salary. The 11,023 is 33.6% of the bilingual victim assistance, or the sexual assault prosecutor salary, excuse me. 16161 is FICA for the designated salaries and the appropriate percentages. 2,100 is some office supplies that were awarded. 3,100 is another 2,500 towards the free trauma therapy for victims. 3,200 is some of our training that we hope to attend this year. And 33,000 is our printing and advertising, so letterhead, envelopes, things like that. 3,700 is more copying fees, and 39 is additional travel, and I think that's it, travel.
Make a motion approved?
Question.
Well, hang on. We have a motion to approve by Councilman Vaughn. Would there be a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emery. Councilman Reese, your question?
Yeah. Director, you said this is just 10% of your salary, or whoever's salary this is, this 6,000?
Yes.
So what is the victim advocate? How they're increasing theirs as well?
This
There's
would-
3 right below it.
This wouldn't be increases in any salaries.
No,
This is just
it's not.
the
Appropriations for
fund
the-
being appropriated to pay those
The grant
salaries.
is paying that
Yeah, the
portion.
grant
Right,
pays their
right.
salary, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We're all
Thank you
different.
for explaining that.
Okay. Is there any other discussion?
I just want to mention how pleasant it is to work with Betsy from our office. In conjunction with her office, we're in touch a lot, and she does a spectacular.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes. Next, we have the courts, Madison County Community Foundation Fund.
Should have gotten here early enough to get an aisle seat, shouldn't I? the Madison Community Foundation, that actually those funds actually belong to the Problem-Solving Court. They are a 501c non-profit, and they are allowed to take donations. And people donate throughout the year, and this is just them appropriating those funds, which they pay for all manner of things, drug tests, incentives for people who do well, that kind of thing. So bus passes, various service items that they need. A lot of the people can't drive and, or don't have a license when they get started, that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of thing that they pay for with it. And it's just them appropriating the donations that have come in this year. So,
Make a motion approved?
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Vaughn,
Second.
second by Councilman Reese. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes. Thank you very much. Now we get on to the general fund. The first item is kind of a continuation, I believe, of last month from the planning department.
Good evening. The first item is a continuation of the professional fees for Rachel Christensen and HWC Group. Our original appropriation, this estimate was made on 9/22. We originally had thought that it was probably going to be around $11,000. We've gotten all the invoices in except for one. We have the final invoice. We don't have the invoice, but we have the number. And the amount we need is $8,893.50 to close out the contract with HWC.
Okay, so then what's listed here would be $4,000 and $11,085.02.
No, the $4,000, are you talking about the part-time salary?
Yes, yeah.
No, that's nothing to do with, that's a second appropriation for the part-time.
Okay.
That's for the part-time clerk that we have in our office.
Okay, so then for the 31,000 professional services, our number was 11,8502, but you're saying you need less than that now?
Yes.
Okay, what was that number?
8893.50.
One more time, sorry, 88.
8893.50.
Okay. And do you want to explain the part-time?
The part-time is Nikki Wood. She began, I'm not sure when she began. I know there have been some appropriations to continue her. We did put in a request in the 2023 budget for her to be full-time. That was not approved. This would continue her to the end of the year. The budget did include $3,000 for part-time services in 2023, and we'll have to deal with that when the time comes.
Okay. Would there be a motion?
So moved.
Motion to approve by Councilman Alexander. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emery. Is there any discussion?
Is there, so you're saying this professional fees is for Rachel, and we're done? After this 88, we're done with that, right?
Yes.
We're
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we don't have the final invoice. We have a number. I requested a number. She's not done anything since September 30th. So unless, there's something on their end that slips through, that this should be done.
Okay. Good. All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
No.
Okay, that passes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next is the courthouse. Andrew Kidder.
Good evening, council. I have two requests, two different line items. In my 350 utilities budget, as everyone knows, utilities have went through the roof. We have changed everything to where everything's on timers. Our light bulbs are LED. We're done everything we can. We're just not going to make it to the end of the year. This year, I feel very comfortable that we will be able to make it through the end of the year, knowing that we don't have a meeting in December. In case I get through, this should get me through the end of the year very sufficiently at the $70,000 request. We don't know what the weather's going to bring. Everybody's forecasting a colder weather coming in, and we're already starting to see it's already chillier this year. So my gas bills are going to start going up more. So when I did this, I went ahead and did it on worst case scenario. This should be sufficient to get me through to the end of the year. And then my second request. Sorry, do you do these one at a time?
Oh, you can do the second one, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I haven't had to come up here yet. This is my 360 budget. This is my repair maintenance. This is the one I have to pay my contractors out of for major stuff that is out of our wheelhouse. We've transferred money several times this summer to try to offset some of this. I was able to find the money somewhere else to do the $40,000 elevator project, which is being finished up now. But like we've talked before, the inflation is through the roof. I had to replace 4 whole AC and furnace units out the youth center this year just because they were old, and 2 of them were originals. Those used to be around $9,000. They're $13,000 now. Recently had to put $8,500 into the air conditioning system at the jail. It's very aged. I'm trying to make it through till we get the new one. The cost of that stuff has just gone through the roof. And I also have just had to replace the main hot water system for the youth center. That was $18,000 for a specialized horizontal hot water heater that we had to put in. So with this, this will get me enough money to go through and get all of my furnaces up and ready to go for wintertime. I have to do a yearly boiler inspection. So we have a contractor come in and check them before the state comes in and checks all of those heating elements that we have. And then we also check on all of our other furnaces for the highway garage and all those buildings out there. And the $30,000 should get me sufficiently through, knock on wood. I don't have anything else go bad to the end of the year.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Vaughn,
Second.
second by Councilman Reese. Obviously, the utilities portion of this was no surprise. I mean, we've seen those increases. Is there any other discussion or questions?
Mr. Kidder, yeah. Have you really, do you feel comfortable with your next year's budget with utilities? Did you think you went high enough?
We shot it high. We're hoping that we can go because we took a 3-year trending and then we did the math.
Okay.
My administrative assistant, Cynthia, is a godsend. She helped me with this, especially being my first year with doing it. She was great. Rick's office, Todd, they were all great with helping me get through that. And we foresee, hopefully we can, but I don't know what natural gas and electric's going to do.
Right.
Okay.
But yes, I did build in a cushion.
Great, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes.
Thank you.
Next on the list is courts again.
Encore. This is it's a new money request, but it's sort of not a new money request. What happened is we had a part-time employee this summer, person who's in law school. Judges have part-time money. She went to work for Circuit 4 first, but Circuit 2 and Circuit 5 also used her. They shared the cost. It was paid out of Circuit Court 4 all the way through, so this is just the money that you see minusing from Circuit 2 and Circuit 5 is to go back to Circuit 4. And then the $858 that you see in 440, that is a refund from the Anderson University. We participate in a program with them where we pay 20% of someone's pay with our part-time money. They pay 80% of it, and this is a refund because we didn't use all the money from them. We pay them up front for that. They refunded this to us, so it's,
Okay.
none of it is, it's all in our budget, and it's really just moving money around and getting a refund, so.
It's almost more of a transfer than a new money request, it appears. Rick, is this under new money? Is it because it's going from different courts or?
Right,
Yeah, so
yeah.
they have to do it this way.
It has to be done this way, because, yeah.
Okay.
Motion approved.
We have a
Second.
motion to approve by Councilman Emery, a second by Councilman Vaughn. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And last up on new money request is the sheriff.
Good evening, Scott Mellinger from the Sheriff's Office. We're requesting in Sheriff 220, operating supplies, $39,000. That's mostly for fuel and some tires for vehicles. In Sheriff 360, repairs and maintenance, we're asking for $4,000. That's vehicle maintenance and repairs. And in 390, other services and charges, we're asking for $4,500. That line pays mostly for recertifications and special skills for some of the deputies, and also for subscriptions to law enforcement resources that we utilize for investigations. And we do believe this is going to get us through the end of the year.
Thank you.
Make a motion approved.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Vaughn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emery. Any discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That passes. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Okay, we do have 4 salary ordinances, first readings, and these are from actions taken last month, I believe. The first would be Salary Ordinance 2022-6C, ordinance adjusting the salary of the employees for the year 2022, and this was the Veterans Affairs part-time and on-call compensation. Would there be a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Alexander,
Second.
second by Councilman Emery. Again, as a reminder, if these pass unanimously, we don't need to hold them off until next month. If they do not pass unanimously, we'll do a second reading next month. So, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I heard that is unanimous. We'll move on. Thank you. Next is Salary Ordinance 2022-7C, ordinance adjusting the salary of the employees for the year 2022. This was a general fund that adjusted on call for the sheriff, jail training officers, GC supervisor, county council. There was a COVID hazard pay adjustment. That was somebody that got missed, I believe. Central Dispatch Fund was part-time and overtime. Mass Vaccine Clinic Fund, Medical Clerical Assistant, the DIS Supplemental Grant Fund for 2 unit therapists, and a CoGen Title 4D Incentive Fund for receptionist. Would there be a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion to approve by Councilman Vaughn. Anyone?
Second.
Second by Councilman Steele. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I believe I heard that is unanimous as well. Next would be Salary Ordinance 2022-8C, ordinance adjusting the salary of the employees for the year 2022. This is Adult Protective Services Fund, 9100. This is an adjustment with the director, secretary, 2 investigators, and part-time. Would there be a motion?
Make a motion approved.
Motion to approve by Councilman Vaughn.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Likens. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I believe I heard that is unanimous as well. Listen. Salary Ordinance 2022-10C, an ordinance adjusting the salary of the employees for year 2022. This is General Fund 1000, County Council sick pay, which was an addition that we put into our line to cover sick pay. Planning, part-time, Circuit Court 4, part-time, Crime Victim Assistance Fund, Director, Bilingual VA, and 4 victim advocates. The Bilingual Stop Fund, the Director, Bilingual VA, and DPA 3. So those are fairly specific funds there.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve by Councilman Vaughn. Is there second by Councilwoman Likens? Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I heard that is unanimous, I believe.
Hey, Councilman Gale, real quick.
Yes.
You say next month, you may have said this, council meeting falls on Election Day. Did you say we're switching that?
Oh, that is something I guess we could discuss.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah, the next meeting, our November meeting, is scheduled for the evening of Election Day. And so there have been a couple members of the council that have asked me if that's really what we want to do. So I guess we could discuss that as a council and see if there's a date that works better for that. And then obviously that would affect when we have to advertise and all of that. So it's.
I'd make a motion to approve, I'd make a motion to move the next month county council meeting to the following Tuesday on the 18th at 6 o'clock. Is that right?
The following Tuesday would be the 15th.
The 15th, okay, yeah, 11th, wait a minute. It's 11th, isn't it?
No, 15.
Oh, sorry, the 15th, okay.
Election Day is the 8th.
I was thinking that election day was 11th.
Yeah, so the 15th.
Okay, then at the 15th at 6 o'clock.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilman Reese. Is there any discussion on this? And let me ask, the auditor's office, does that present any conflicts, or with our legal counsel, would that present any conflicts? Any further discussion by members of the council? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we will meet on November 15th for our November meeting, so hopefully that will allow people to recover and relax and maybe celebrate on Election Day evening. Were there any committee reports? I don't think we had any committees meeting. All right, hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion to adjourn by
moved.
Councilman
Second.
Emery, second by Councilman Vaughn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
I asked that council to make sure they sign the budget paperwork.
Yes.
And also mark how you voted on that paperwork.
Okay.
There's 3 different budgets that I need that on.
Do we want to just start these over with Fred and
Yes.
work our way down? Maybe we can all